The COVID case count in Hawaii is showing a steep decline, but are we ready to return to going back to normal without masks?
To try and answer that question, we're joined now live by Dr. Tim Brown. He's an epidemiologist with the East-West Center. And thanks so much for joining us, Dr. Brown.
Oh, my pleasure.
Great. And what are your thoughts? Are we ready to get back to normal?
Well, I think in terms of, lifting the mask mandate, I don't think we should try to set a date. I think we need to look at what the conditions in the community are in terms of viral spread. CDC would say, less than about 10 cases per 100,000, which for us would be about 125, less than 5% PCR positivity. But given that Omicron is much more transmissible, I would probably set limits more like about 50 cases a day here in Hawaii and less than 1% positivity rate.
Now,
when we do lift it, though, I think the messaging is really going to be critical. It shouldn't be it's over, throw your mask away. It should be if you still have family members who have risk, you yourself have risk for severe COVID, you need to continue masking and only lift your masking basically when community conditions really allow it.
So it's pretty individual. Each case could be a different situation. Despite the case count going down, the number of deaths still remains pretty high. I believe there were 16 reported yesterday. Now, if the Omicron is not as severe as we thought, why is this happening?
Well, I think it's two factors there. First is that, well, yes, the severity is down by about 60, 75% relative to Delta. Nonetheless, it's much more transmissible. So, for example, our peak here of Omicron was about 5 times as high as our Delta peak. So if I take that reduction of 3/4, multiply it by a factor of 5, I'm going to end up probably with roughly the same number of deaths that will result once this is all over, past the complete Omicron surge. The second factor is that deaths tend to peak 4 to 5 weeks after the cases peak. So we're still looking at deaths that are occurring from cases that occurred much, much earlier.
We see variants with the flu and, with other diseases, but what do you think about, we're going to keep seeing variants with this. And so should people be worried, or what can people do?
Well, I think it's not something to be worried about. I think what we need to do is we need to prepare appropriately for it. We deal with flu on a regular basis. I think we will probably have to be dealing with COVID for the next several years at least. And there will be variants. They will come up from time to time, and there will be surges. And I think what we need to do is prepare the way California is preparing right now. If you actually look at California yesterday, they released a COVID plan, which is basically preparing the community, preparing their own systems so that they're ready basically to deal with another surge if it comes along. Because I think we have to assume there will be other surges and other variants coming. But if we're prepared for them, we can get ahead of the virus rather than trying to catch up to it all the time the way we have traditionally in the past.
Yeah, speaking of variants, we've been hearing about this BA2 variant. So far, just 29 cases here in Hawaii. Why do you think the number has been so low?
It's really hard to say. We don't know at this point. In some countries, for example, in Denmark, it has completely taken over. In the UK, it's well on its way to taking over and probably will pretty much be the dominant strain in the UK within 2 weeks. In the United States, it seems to be growing more gradually. And again, we don't fully understand the reasons for that. The good part about it is so far it doesn't appear to be more severe in terms of the illness that it causes than Omicron itself is, although it does seem to be more transmissible, so it spreads more easily.
We have the holiday weekend coming up. A lot of people maybe getting together with folks. Just, I don't know, what kind of message do you have to them?
I think the important message right now is it's not over yet. We're still dealing with substantial transmission in the community at about half the level we were at the Delta peak, and this is a more transmissible variant. So it's not time to totally let your guard down yet. I would recommend, keep using your mask in public places. Try to keep the ventilation good when you're getting together with groups of people. And again, if you have home test kits available and you can use them when you're visiting more vulnerable members of your family, for example, kapuna or anybody who's immunocompromised, then by all means use those test kits before meeting with them so that we can reduce the risk as much as possible for everybody.
Good advice. Thank you so much for your time. That was Dr. Tim Brown of the East-West Center. Have a great weekend, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you.